Hey guys, welcome back to part 10 or whatever of the review of Beckymac 666's The Forbidden Fruit, The Temptation of Edward Cullen. Previously, we discussed how she berated herself when Mike Newton asked her out and yada yada yada. So in this next part, she goes on a date with him, talks about how boring he is, meets new friends who share the same names as her friends in real life, the author's friends in real life, who she mentioned in an earlier author's note. They meet up, they end up going home, and she says that she's scared to go home because in fear that Uncle Larry might proceed to rape her again. And who shows up? None other than Edward Cullen. And that what takes place is she berates him a little bit. He comes on and she gives in. They are on the floor, getting it on in the grass. She rips off all her clothes, begs him to sleep with her, and he turns her down and says, "I can't, I'm with Bella," yada yada yada, and he leaves her there, naked, in the grass. That's pretty much what happens. She goes back to school, and Bella and her friends are taunting her about her prettiness, and she feels like she wants to kill herself. The only reason she doesn't is because of those three friends she met. And then it comes to the night of the talent show. Edward gets turned on, and they end up having sex. Wait, they don't have sex. God. She is raped by Uncle Larry several more times and bullied several more times, and at this one point she's in her room doing drugs and cutting herself. And I want to stop right there and say that cutting herself is not something that should be played with, and it's not funny at all. I have friends who have proceeded to cut themselves, and I know some of you out there are probably like, why would someone cut themselves? Well, you don't understand mental illness, and you won't ever understand mental illness. People who cut themselves have either post-traumatic stress disorder, or they're in pain and they don't know how to deal with it properly, so they do what they know how to do, and they cut themselves. It's a bad release of anger, and it's not something to be joked around with at all. Ever. It's like joking around with rape or suicide, and it's not funny, and it's not a joke at all. And that being said, Dave then walks in on her smoking her drugs. And she tells him that she wants to kill herself. He laughs and says, "Ha ha ha, you teenagers and your problems," quote unquote. And then he looks at her titties and says, "Oh, they have gotten bigger." Which is probably not the best thing to say to your underage foster daughter when you have a wife. Just throwing that out there. So anyways, wait, crap. This is after she gets, crap. Okay, just hold this part. Hold this. I'm doing the rewind buttons. Pause. Okay, we're back to the night of the talent show. She comes home, her daddy comes by, and he's like, "Elentiana, my daughter, you mustn't have sex with Edward Cullen, or the fate your mother tried to save you from will fall upon you. You will become a vampire if you have sex with Edward Cullen." Daddy leaves. In enters Edward Cullen. They proceed to have sex on the floor. Edward Cullen leaves her there on the floor after they have just screwed. Uncle Larry enters talking about raping her because she is now a vampire, and this is not how vampire is brought on by sleeping with another vampire. It's brought on by by being bitten. But okay, according to this author, a man's dick is a man carrot. So who are we to go with it? Oh, and she also uses the phrase "a massive throbbing jiggle stick." So, I mean, we really shouldn't, we're giving the author way too much credit here. So then she gets upset and her reflexes kick in, and she hits Uncle Larry and he falls to the floor dead. And she also sucks his blood. So she's kind of hurt that she killed Uncle Larry. He's a rapist. You did it in self-defense, hon. And anyway, she's like, oh, ho, ho, I healed my own uncle. And then she runs off to the same forest to cry again. And who does she meet? None other than our very unimportant new character, Snuffleupagus, the panda. I'm not kidding. The panda. But anyways, so she meets Snuffleupagus, whatever the hell his name is. We call him Snoofles. That's what they tell us to call us. And she's like, why can you talk? You're a panda. And then he says, I cannot talk, but one of your powers is being able to hear animals. So then she also touches a tree and realizes what happens to the tree is how she's feeling. First she's happy. The tree blooms beautiful flowers, and then she gets mad and the tree turns into flames. And so that's another one of her powers. Then she goes home and looks in the mirror and realizes that she's even more beautiful and ethereal. And her boobs are bigger. Then she goes back to school and gets bullied more. She comes home and the whole thing with Dave ensues, and then she's very pissed off at him. So telepathically, with the kinesis, she throws her ashtray on him telepathically. Not telepathically, telekinetically. Throws her ashtray at him, and he just shrugs it off and laughs and comments on her titties. And then leaves. The next day, she goes to school, and her and Edward have another encounter. She's pissed at him again, and then he apologizes, and she says, right now you have to choose me or Bella, and then he says, you, thou lady, and they proceed to have oral sex in the middle of a hallway. Then they find random handcuffs, and she chains him to a bench. Where the handcuffs came from? Don't know. Where the bench is? I don't know either. But I do know, why are two underage protagonists engaging in sex out in the open with no shame, no condoms, no anything? But okay, this makes about as much sense as the rest of the story, so maybe I'm giving this author too much credit. Bella walks in and finds them engaging in these acts. She then says, you evil rodent people, I am going to kill myself now. Quote unquote. Edward somehow gets out of these handcuffs, that is not explained, and runs after Bella to stop her from murdering herself. And then Atlantiana gets upset about this. Honey, just because he wanted to stop a girl from killing herself doesn't mean he doesn't want to be with you. He just let you cock drop him. Anyways, then to ease her pain, she decides to sneak in a bar with a panda. And this isn't questioned at all. She there meets Jasper, who is sitting at a bar drinking. And also doing drugs as well. And she's doing drugs at the club as well. And as well as the panda. Panda's doing drugs, Jasper's doing drugs. This is just a drug club, I guess. Anyways, he reveals that he is gay, which is completely out of character, but for the sake of the story, Jasper is gay. She then says there's nothing wrong with being gay, which there isn't, and then lets him know that the panda has a well gay, which was never mentioned before, and I don't even see why it's necessary to have a panda in the story, nor have a panda be gay. But apparently the author did, which we'll find out in this next car scene. So, pretty much, Jasper decides to embrace his newfound gayness and dances with a human called Vince. The high and drunk bunch, including Vince, Jasper, Atlantiana, and Snuffles the panda, then proceed to get in a car with Atlantiana driving while being high and drunk, and Jasper, Snuffles, and Vince engaging in a gay threesome involving a panda, a vampire, and a human. Excuse me. It's gone for a panda. Why, Becky? Why a fucking panda, man? That's wrong. I have no problem with gay people. Just pandas, really? I love gay people. I would join the straight gay alliance if I had time. I have no problem with gays. A panda, man, a panda. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Oh, I'm sorry for putting that image in there, man. It's almost like Frollo and Esmeralda. Only worse. Anyways, she proceeds to drive when none other than Jacob comes in. And Jacob, as well, is out of character. But, of course, that goes with the whole thing of the story. I mean, we have Bella being a bitch. We have Edward being a dick. Cheating on Bella, which he never would. And talking in Old English dialect. We have Jasper gay, which he's obviously not. And he's just completely out of character. And we have all our characters either out of character or Mary Sue, Gary Stu. Or just never mentioned again. Like Fair Marie. What happened to her? We don't know. Last we heard, she went out of town with her husband, came back, and we only saw Dave again when he was acting like an idiot. Got hit with an ashtray, didn't even notice she didn't pick it up. What's the world coming to, huh? So, anyways, then Jacob lands in front of the car and proceeds to kidnap Atlantiana Rebecca Lauren without the three in the back noticing whatsoever. She then calls their gay threesome cute. No problem with gays, I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to see this. A panda and a vampire and a human. Honestly, it's very uncomfortable. And also, pandas are very big. I recently found out they don't fit in cars. And they also are very stupid. So even if you could understand what they were saying or whatever, it would probably be something like no offense, like an autistic person would say. I swear it's no offense, I have several autistic friends. I'm just saying, pandas are not the brightest bamboo stick in the bunch here. But ignoring that, because obviously this author knows nothing about Twilight, knows nothing about pandas, knows nothing about sex or vampires or how that works or how school works and that they are neighbors and I mean how the system the system works there, how drugs work. Apparently they know none of this. So, I mean, here we have someone who I presume is around 13 or under writing a story that they honestly shouldn't be writing. It's just ridiculous and very raunchy and very uncomfortable. I have no problem with lemons or just raunchy stuff. But the thing is, it's raunchy in a very uncomfortable way. Comparing fruits and vegetables to male genitalia is just wrong. It's sick. It's like incest, honestly. It's pretty gross. So anyways, Jacob comes down and his little gang with the shirts off proceed to kidnap Atlantiana Rebecca Lauren. There she is in this room. They knock her out with some crap. And then she wakes up and Jacob is naked. He rubs his penis on her knee. And she refers to it as a wet, throbbing mushroom. Wait, no, a gross, wet mushroom or something like that. That makes Man Carrot sound suddenly wanted. Or even purple throbbing jiggle stick. But anyway, She's very scared. I want to point this out. She, somewhere in the story, she unleashed a plague of boils